2022 has been a roller coaster of a year for video games. The year started out with heavy hitters, but we also got surprise hits such as Stray and Tunic from the AA and indie game development scene. While the last couple of months have proven to be a dry spell when it comes to notable releases, the year is far from over. There are a ton of interesting single-player games to look forward to, and to that end, here are 25 examples. Please note that some of these games have 2022 as a tentative release date, as of the time of writing this feature, and are subject to change. With that out of the way, let's begin. God of War Ragnarok. Sony's Santa Monica delivered an excellent reimagining of God of War with its 2018 reboot, which masterfully combined sincere storytelling with adrenaline-pumping gameplay. Those familiar with the game would know that the story ended on a cliffhanger, and naturally fans are more than excited to see the narrative unfold with the sequel. The aptly titled God of War Ragnarok will continue the adventures of Kratos and Atreus as they bring about Ragnarok. God of War Ragnarok releases on the 9th of November 2022 for PS4 and PS5. A Plague Tale Requiem. Developer Asobo's A Plague Tale: Innocence was a great action-adventure title that followed the larger-than-life adventures of brother-sister duo Hugo and Amicia de Rune as they tried to find the grim reality behind Hugo's inflictions. Apart from the heartfelt story, Innocence also featured a simple yet innovative gameplay loop with stealth and action elements. A Plague Tale Requiem is set to expand on the many ideas that the original introduced, and we can't wait to get back into the shoes of these lovable characters when the game releases on the 18th of October, 2022 for PS5, Xbox Series, PS4, and PC. Crisis Core. Final Fantasy VII Reunion, a remaster of the PlayStation Portable Classic, will release on December 13th. It's coming to Switch along with Xbox One, Xbox Series, PS4, PS5, and PC. Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII Reunion offers high-definition visuals and revamped character models, new background music arrangements, fully voiced cutscenes, a new menu-based battle system, and support for 60 frames per second on Xbox Series and PS5 are also confirmed. This is in addition to linkable attack combos and more accessible limit breaks. There won't be any new story elements though. Plus, if you ever wanted to see Zack and Cactuar fighting together in HD, look no further. Return to Monkey Island. Adventure games used to be all the rage back in the early 90s, but the genre's popularity fizzled out towards the start of the new millennium. Those familiar with the genre would know the stature of Monkey Island and its sequels, so when Return to Monkey Island was announced not too long ago, fans rejoiced with enthusiasm and excitement. In development at Terrible Toy Box with Ron Gilbert at the helm, Return to Monkey Island is set to be a return to life with all of the laughs and gameplay touches that one would expect from the franchise. Return to Monkey Island releases for Nintendo Switch and PC on September 19th, 2022. SOULSTICE. Set against the dark fantasy backdrop of the Kingdom of Kaidas, SOULSTICE is a rather unique hack-and-slash game that sees players controlling two sisters, Briar and Lute, linked by an ethereal chain as they embark on a high-stakes quest to save the kingdom from the wrath of the Chimeras. The combat system looks fantastic, with plenty of flashy moves and strategies to choose from. Of course, the enemy design will also force you to constantly keep changing tactics, which could make for some thrilling experiences through and through. SOULSTICE releases for PS5, Xbox Series, and PC sometime in 2022. Serial Cleaners. Developed by Draw Distance Games, Serial Cleaners is a top-down stealth game that sees you cleaning up crime scenes without being noticed by the many personnel that swarm the area. Players get to choose from 4 different characters, each with their unique abilities, which should add some variety to the whole affair. With its 90s aesthetic and enchanting elevator pitch, Serial Cleaners is looking to be the perfect game to quench a stealth fan's thirst. The game releases for Nintendo Switch, PC, PS4, PS5, Xbox One, and Xbox Series on September 22nd, 2022. WRC Generations. Despite the many controversies, the recently released Gran Turismo 7 was an excellent sim-style racer, with oodles of content to keep interested players engaged for a long time. Those who did not have the chance to try out Polyphony's Racer or are just looking for something new, WRC Generations might just be the game for them. WRC Generations offers dozens upon dozens of rally cars to choose from and fine-tune to perfection, and a ton of varied stages to master, and it releases for all major platforms on October 13th, 2022. Gotham Knights. Set in a post-Batman Gotham, this Warner Bros. Montreal-developed action-adventure title sees players controlling Batman's extended family. In the absence of Gotham's Dark Knight, his protégés, namely Red Hood, Robin, Nightwing, and Batgirl, have risen to the call of duty when the Court of Owls threatens the denizens of the city. The combat system looks to be a natural evolution of the Arkham formula, and each character has their own unique moves and abilities. The game can be played in single-player or co-op and releases for all current-gen platforms on the 21st of October 2022. Scorn. Clearly inspired by the works of H.R. Geiger and Zdzisław Beksinski, this survival horror game has been a long time coming. Scorn is as gross as it is unique, with its biopunk aesthetic and weapons made of bones and muscle. In addition to the strong visual elements, Scorn is also offering brutal survival horror mechanics, like limited ammo and intensive inventory management to keep tension levels high throughout the experience. Scorn releases for PC and the Xbox Series consoles on October 21st, 2022. Evil West. In development at Flying Wild Hog of Shadow Warrior fame, Evil West is a third-person action-adventure set in a fictional Wild West, where you fight hordes of vampires instead of gun-toting outlaws. You play as a member of a top-secret vampire hunting society, and the adventure will take you across a variety of locales, as you defeat different enemies with guns or with your bare hands. Evil West releases for all major platforms on November 22nd, 2022. GUNGRAVE GORE. Much like Evil West that we discussed before, GUNGRAVE GORE is a potential mix of style and substance. You play as Grave, a gunslinger on a quest to brutally murder anyone and everyone that stands in his way. The game mixes bullet hell elements with a third-person combat loop for an action-packed experience that's all about expressing yourself through the game's stylish gunplay. It will be released for all major platforms sometime in 2022. The Callisto Protocol. The Callisto Protocol seems to be an evolution on the games that inspired this project. Set against the dark backdrop of one of Jupiter's many moons, the Callisto Protocol sees Jacob make an escape from a jail facility where most of the inmates have turned into mindless creatures. On top of the ability to chop off enemy limbs, the Callisto Protocol will allow players to wield both ranged and melee weapons. The Callisto Protocol releases for all platforms on December 2nd of 2022. High on Life. Easily one of the most visually unique games on this list, High on Life is a third-person shooter that's all about collecting and overcoming the many challenges through the use of these goofy-looking firearms. The character and world designs are also goofy in a similar vein, and the game has a lot of potential that the developers can encash upon. High on Life releases for Xbox One, the Xbox Series consoles, and PC sometime during December of 2022. Hello Neighbor 2. The original Hello Neighbor was a cool concept, but the game's wonky AI implementation stopped the game from garnering all the attention that it deserved. Hello Neighbor 2 is another shot at delivering on the same promise, and the game looks better positioned than before to be a success. You play as a journalist who's out on a quest to uncover the dark truth about a mysterious neighbor, but the catch is, the enemy AI will learn from your moves and try to stop you in your tracks. It will be released for all major platforms sometime in 2022. The Dark Pictures anthology, The Devil in Me. Supermassive's brand of branching narratives and horror-filled stories is pretty familiar ground by now, and the Dark Pictures anthology The Devil in Me is the next game in the series to retread familiar ground, albeit with new faces. Expect plenty of jump scares, surprise deaths, last-minute saves, and so much more as you explore a modern-day replica of a serial killer's mansion when the game releases for PS4, PS5, Xbox Series, Xbox One, and PC. Sonic Frontiers. Sonic has had a pretty hit-or-miss relationship with its 3D outings, and Sonic Frontiers seems to be a radical shift for the franchise formula. Taking cues from the likes of Breath of the Wild, Sonic Frontiers is adopting an open zone design strategy where players would be able to explore big levels at their own ease. While this prospect raises more questions than answers, we're pretty excited for the game nevertheless. Sonic Frontiers releases for all major platforms on the 8th of November 2022. Resident Evil Village Winter's Expansion. Capcom delivered an excellent amalgamation of different horror tropes with last year's Resident Evil Village, and the ending did set up a sequel or an expansion of sorts. As Ethan's daughter Rosemary, players will embark on a quest to gain an understanding of her powers, which were gifted by the megamycete virus. In addition to this, a new third-person mode and a more fleshed-out mercenaries mode will round the bulk of the changes that the Winter's expansion will bring to Resident Evil Village. The multiplayer standalone title, Reverse, is also launching with this expansion, and it's free for everyone who owns the game. The expansion releases for all major platforms on October 28, 2022. Shovel Knight Dig. Starting life as a humble Kickstarter campaign, Yacht Games' Shovel Knight became one of the best 2D action platformers of recent memory. The developer is now hard at work on building Shovel Knight Dig, a spin-off that combines platforming elements with roguelike level generation. Instead of going up a level, Shovel Knight would have to dig through the ground to chase Drill Knight. There's also going to be some permanent progression between runs, and we can't wait to dig into this beautiful world when the game drops on all major platforms sometime in 2022. New Tales from the Borderlands. Set against the intergalactic universe of Borderlands, this new spin-off will see players assuming the role of a band of misfits, namely Anu, Octavio, and Fran, as they embark on a quest to overthrow their oppressors. Expect different kinds of humor with the franchise's signature writing, and a lot of choices that will ultimately determine the outcome of this 5-part story, which should also make this adventure highly replayable for fans. New Tales from the Borderlands releases for all major platforms on October 21st, 2022. Pokémon Scarlet and Pokémon Violet. Pokémon Legends Arceus was a much-needed shakeup for the franchise formula, and following Arceus' success, the next game in the franchise will naturally be operating on this latest blueprint. Pokémon Scarlet and Pokémon Violet will offer a fully explorable open world of Paldea that's sprawling with different kinds of creatures and threats. Those familiar with the franchise should know exactly what to expect from this game, and they're here for it. Pokémon Scarlet and Violet release for Nintendo Switch on the 8th of November of 2022. Alfred Hitchcock, Vertigo. Inspired by Alfred Hitchcock's psychological thriller Vertigo, Alfred Hitchcock Vertigo is being touted as a deep dive into writer Ed Miller's psyche as he undergoes therapy following a car crash. Developer Pendulo Studios says that the game's story will blur the lines between fantasy and reality, and we're really excited about what the many improvements the new version will bring to the table. Alfred Hitchcock Vertigo releases for current-gen consoles on the 27th of September 2022. Dying Light 2 Stay Human Bloody Lines DLC. Techland's Dying Light 2 Stay Human might not have been everything that the developer promised, but it's still a worthy sequel to the original. And like the original game, Dying Light 2 Stay Human is primed for swaths of post-launch content, and the first in line is Bloody Ties. The DLC will include new and bloody arenas, weapons, gear pieces, challenges, and so much more when it's released for all major platforms on October 13th, 2022. Atomic Heart. Developer Mundfish's upcoming action RPG is set against the backdrop of an alternate history Soviet Union, where robots and androids coexist in unison with humans. When the machines start to wage a war against humanity, it falls upon your shoulders as Agent P3 to put an end to this fight. Atomic Heart will see players come face to face against a wide variety of dastardly threats, ranging from a single robot to a Teletubby on a unicycle to giant mechs and whatnot. Of course, you'll have a fully decked out arsenal of guns and melee weapons and superpowers to fight these enemies. Atomic Heart releases for all major platforms on December of 2022. Football Manager 2023. Sega's soccer management simulation franchise is all about picking your favorite team and leading it to the very top of the sport as the manager for the club. It's a pretty played-out formula, and like most annualized releases, Football Manager 2023 is going for small, iterative upgrades rather than a radical shift from its serious roots. The game releases for PC on the 8th of November of 2022. The Entropy Center. Currently in development at Stubby Games, the Entropy Center is a puzzle game with a unique twist, which is that players will have to manipulate objects and reverse the flow of time to clear out obstacles and clear out a path to progress. The developer is promising mind-bending puzzles that will gradually become more and more complex, and this game is looking to be an unmissable one for fans of contemporaries like Portal. The Entropy Center releases for all major platforms sometime this year. That's all for now. If you enjoy what you saw, please hit the like button. And if you're new to the channel, now is a great time to subscribe. We upload brand new videos every single day. After subscribing, don't forget to enable all notifications by clicking the bell icon. Thanks for watching this video, and we'll see you next time, right here on Gaming Bolt.